new giveaway.
The D&D Beyond Players Bundle.
Tons of character options.
Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below on the video so you're entered to win a great giveaway coming from us very soon.
Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here with another video. Today we're talking about the Adult Blue Dragon Premium Miniature. So, for reference on here, we have some other minis that are in relative categories. You have like a little white wormling, a little, I think it's a bronze or brass, I can't remember which one is that one. It's brass, it's kind of hard to read on the old spaces.
It is brass.
Yes, brass, okay. Brass dragon, and then you have a little young blue dragon. This one I think is also copper. No, brass, okay. I don't know. So these are some of the older ones. This is the most recent ancient red dragon, or adult red dragon. Sorry,
It's sized like an ancient.
They have these rings on the bottom that are the actual monster stat block size. So they have, but yes, this is the most recent premium dragon that they've come out with. And then we have the adult blue, very majestic in its own right. And here, I'll get this thing spinning on here. We'll do some close-up shots and talk a little bit about some of the lore as we kind of look at this. Make sure he doesn't whack there. We had measured this out at one point.
Yeah, we're not trying to start any brawls between blue and red early on.
So, a few things right off the bat that I did notice that I do like about this one. I think the scales and everything on this one look a lot better than the red dragon because it's got all the different color variations. It's got some of the black texture highlighting and like the gold like flecks and stuff on it. Whereas the red dragon, I mean, he does have like that middle portion going down like the tan bit in his chest.
The horns are different.
Scales the scales are just red with like the black outlining kind of thing.
Almost like scorching on the scales.
Right. So like with this one, and he's a little bit more spiky, I would say too. He's got lots of like spikes coming off from his neck and down his back. It's more spiky. This is more like a fin on the red dragon. Though I do like the red dragon wings better. I feel like they're a lot more detailed. They have the veins and everything, and then like the blackened, burnt edges of the wings on here. So, but to each their own. This one is a little bit smaller as well. I mean, the red dragons are the more menacing, higher CR, so it kind of makes sense that they're a little bit bigger. Whether they did that on purpose or not, I don't know per se. But in and of its own purposes, another great premium miniature.
Yes.
I like a lot of the new ones that they've been coming out with recently. So, all that being said, we're going to do some close-up shots of the dragon, maybe with comparisons with the red dragon and all that. And we're going to read some lore from the monster manual as you kind of enjoy the eye candy of these close-ups.
All the adult dragons all have very similar stats, very high saving throws, very high armor class, 19, obviously for the adult blue. All have multi-attacks. You have Bite Claw. All have a frightful presence with a high DC. Wisdom saving throw will be frightened. Also have legendary actions for extra attacks and for a chance to knock things prone with a AoE wing attack. So that's a common thing throughout.
Right.
Of course, the one thing it is going to change from color to color is going to be their breath weapon. That's one thing I do want to cover in detail from the stat block itself. It is a lightning breath and a 90-foot line that is 5 foot wide, a DC 19 dexterity saving throw, or 12d10 lightning damage on a failed save.
Ouch.
Half as much on successful for an average of 66 lightning damage.
Yeah, that's just a CR 16, so that's a pretty big hit. Especially if you're getting 2 or 3 people with that. It's going to hurt. Very painful.
And and as with all the chromatic dragons, their breath can recharge on a 5 or a 6 roll by the DM, so you can see that thing more than once. It's not a one-off ability. So yay. Yes. There are 4 key factors you want to go over with the characteristics of this adult blue dragon. First of all, vain and deadly. A blue dragon will not stand for any remark or insultation that it is weak or inferior, taking great pleasure in lording its power over humanoids and other lesser creatures. A blue dragon is patient and methodical combatant. With fighting on its own terms, it turns combat into an extended affair for hours or even days, attacking from a distance with volleys of lightning, then flying well out of harm's reach as it awaits to attack again. I think it's something else people won't think about with dragons, especially when you get that adult and ancient size dragons. They're not just big brute strength.
Right. They're intelligent creatures.
They are intelligent. Intelligence score of 16 for the adult blue. So these creatures are intelligent as well. You're not just going to be able to outsmart them with some simple thing. And, they're clever with how they handle things. It labels the blue dragons are desert predators. Sometimes eat cacti and other desert plants to sate their great hunger, but blue dragons are carnivores. They prefer to dine on herd animals, cooking those creatures with their lightning breath before gorging themselves. The dining habits make blue dragons an enormous threat to desert caravans and nomadic tribes, which become convenient collections of food and treasure to a dragon's eye. When it hunts, a blue dragon buries itself in the desert sand so that only the horn on its nose pokes above the surface, appearing to be an outcropping of stone. When prey draws near, the dragon rises up, sand pouring from its wings like an avalanche as it attacks.
Yes. It's picture that's like a very cinematic devouring of creatures.
Yeah, and a creature of that size, like ambush predator, is not what you think of. But that would be so much more terrifying than seeing it coming from a mile away.
To think of like the horn is like an outcropping of stone. You wouldn't think of it. You'd like, oh,
it's not a molehill. I mean, again, you talk about wormlings are still medium-sized creatures, so they're considered the similar size to what a human would be.
Right.
So you got to think for a comparison. Close.
There's the range in there.
Yeah, but they are in the same size class.
Right.
So, I mean, you see what I'm talking about? If that's going to be like not a little molehill. It's going to be
the
like
wings. Up out of the sand, just pouring tons of sand.
Yep.
And some of the other characteristics on here, we have overlords and minions. Blue dragons covet valuable and talented creatures whose service reinforces their sense of superiority. Bards, sages, artists, wizards, and assassins can become valuable agents for a blue dragon, which rewards loyal service handsomely. A blue dragon keeps its lair secret and well protected, and even its most trusted servants are rarely allowed within it. It encourages ankheg, giant scorpions, and other creatures of the desert to dwell near its lair for additional security. Older blue dragons sometimes attract air elementals and other creatures to serve them. And then lastly, they are hoarders of gems. Though blue dragons collect anything that looks valuable, they are especially fond of gems. Considering blue to be the most noble and beautiful of colors, they covet sapphires, favoring jewelry and magic items adorned with those gems. A blue dragon buries its most valuable treasures deep in the sand, while scattering a few less valuable trinkets in plainer sight over hidden sinkholes to punish and eliminate would-be thieves. So again, coming back to that whole clever aspect to the dragons, one thing to not overlook is their intelligence. Setting traps with treasure that can entice those a little bit overly eager thieves.
Right. And finally, a quick touch on the blue dragon's lair. Blue dragons make their lairs in barren places, using their lightning breath and their burrowing ability to carve out crystallized caverns, tunnels beneath the sands. Thunderstorms rage around a legendary blue dragon's lair, and narrow tubes lined with glassy sand ventilate the lair, all the while avoiding the deadly sinkholes that are a dragon's first line of defense. The blue dragon will collapse the cavern that make up its lair if the lair is invaded. The dragon then burrows out, leaving its attackers to be crushed and suffocated when it returns later to collect its possessions along with the wealth of the dead intruders. It has lair actions like most legendary creatures and such do, and the other regional effect is it talked about the whole air elemental thing, is it actually summons dust devils, which are basically air elementals that can't fly, as as far as they're just around the area.
Right.
It says a 6 mile range of there, just extra air elementals that don't want you to be where you're at.
Right.
So, and of course talks about there are hidden sinkholes, which the paragraph references, which are aware and there to deal with as well. So.
Yeah, so definitely a very interesting creature to throw into your campaigns, especially if you want to go into, a desert type setting. It can be really cool. Or, of course, not every human or humanoid creature is the same. Same with dragons. Maybe you get a dragon that roams along the seacoast or something.
Yep. And,
because and you could even fit it in because there's sandy beaches. They like sand, so you could make it work in with the whole storm.
Yeah, because I think like coastal storm. It's the first thing I think of with blue dragon.
Yeah, so definitely very interesting, cool creature to deal with. I mean, it is Dungeons and Dragons, so
yes, it's a bit on the nose. Yeah. But the stuff we tell you, we read out of the lore, kind of helps go delve a little deeper besides the surface of it's just a big dragon that breathes some kind of element on you. Yes, but there's more to it than that. There's characteristics that make each one feel unique.
Right.
Besides just the change of elemental on their breath weapon. And they're a reason why they're a very common fantasy trope. And no matter what fantasy or RPG game you're playing, dragons will always be a menacing foe for a very amount of reasons.
Yes. Well, that'll wrap it up for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so our new videos are coming out. Also, I'm going to put a link down below in the comments. If you want to buy one of these, I'll put a link so we can get some credit for that purchase if you want to help support the channel as well.
Yes.
We also have an Amazon store if you haven't checked that out. We have all kinds of cool stuff on there. There's all kinds of minis and all the books. I put every single book on there. And anything you buy through there or go through the link, it'll help us out. So always appreciate your help and support. And as always, guys,
thanks for watching.